Hello, and welcome to the SAP HANA Academy. My name is Tom, and in this series of videos we're covering SAP S/4HANA. In this series, we're showing you how to extend SAP S/4HANA with external data. In this specific video, we will show you how to create a S4 user, an ABAP project, and sample data. An important note about this series is that this video set shows certain features in the SAP HANA database which may require specific licenses, even if we are using SAP S/4HANA. If you do not have some of these features, such as SAP HANA Smart Data Access, Smart Data Integration, creating a virtual table in SAP HANA, or creating a calculation view in SAP HANA, then please contact your account executive or partner manager to get those licenses. In the last video, we created a SAP HANA calculation view that will later be consumed in an ABAP external view. In the next videos, we will be switching towards developing a virtual data model in the ABAP perspective in Eclipse. And so we'd like to create a user that will be used in the development process. Later on, we'll also be using the SAP S/4HANA Launchpad, which you see here. So we'll need to assign that new user the rights to create and access groups and catalogs in the Launchpad Designer and KPI models in the Launchpad. We're going to use the GUI embedded in Eclipse and not the SAP GUI desktop application to do the following tasks. 1. Create our new user. 2. Create an ABAP development project for the new user. And 3. Create sample data for the S-Flight database that will be used later in ABAP CDS. In order to do these tasks, we need to be on the ABAP perspective in Eclipse. If you're not on this perspective by default, then please go to Window, then Perspective, then Open Perspective, choose Other, and then ABAP. We'll show how to make a new project later on after we create a new user. The BP-Inst user is the main user for the trial system, and you can find out more about it by going to the Getting Started guide that you've hopefully downloaded when you created your image. We don't want to use that particular BP-Inst user as it has too many rights and privileges assigned. So we want to create a user that is less robust. There is another reason for doing this as well. The BP-Inst user has all of the S/4HANA business roles associated with it. That means when the BP-Inst user logs on to the SAP S/4HANA Launchpad, which contains all of the business applications, every single business suite tile is going to load, which in turn can call an OData web service to retrieve data for many of those tiles. This can be a big performance drain that we'd like to avoid. To start, click on the BP-Inst project so that you are prompted to log on. If you haven't done this yet on your trial system, the default password for that user is welcome1 with a capital W. Now go to the Navigate menu and choose Open SAP GUI. A dialog will ask you which open project this should be associated with, and that should be the BP-Inst user project. At this point, if you do not see this screen, and instead you have one or more errors in Eclipse, then you will want to update the SAP tools in Eclipse. If you need to update the tools, then first go to the Window menu, then Preferences, then Update Install, and ensure that only SAP Update Site is selected. Then go to the Help menu and choose Check for Updates and install any SAP toolset updates that are found. Back in the embedded SAP GUI, for the transaction, enter SU01 for user maintenance and press Enter. Enter a desired username and then press the Create icon or the F8 key. A last name must be entered in the Address tab. A password must be entered in the Log On Data tab. Note that when the new user logs in for the first time, they need to change the password again, so use something simple like password1 this time. In the Profiles tab, we want to assign several administrative profiles, so type in SAP_all and SAP_new in a new line and then press Enter. These two profiles will obviously give our new user more rights than required, but this is for a demo system using a demo scenario, where we are not going to assign very granular rights. Please do consult the online help for SAP S/4HANA should you want to find more information about profiles in a SAP S/4HANA system. Now, go to the Roles tab where we're going to add a couple of technical roles as well as some example business roles. Click on a line under Role, and then press the icon to add a new role. We'll add some roles starting with SAP_BR, so type in SAP_BR star, and then press Enter. The first role we'll add in alphabetical order is SAP_BR_analytics_specialist, which will give us some rights to create KPIs. The second role is a business role, and that is SAP_BR_buyer. By adding this role, we'll see a bunch of tiles for the strategic buyer show up in our SAP S/4HANA Launchpad. We won't be using this particular role for anything, so it's just to illustrate how adding one of these _BR roles will add objects to the Launchpad. The last role we need to select from this list is SAP_BR_employee, which will add the query browser tool to our Launchpad, as well as a couple of other things. Press the checkbox icon to add these to our list of roles. If you want to see which each of these roles do, you can double-click on one of them, like the analytics role, and then press the menu tab to see what is included in the role. Double-clicking on any of these nodes will of course show you more details. Going back to adding more roles, we have a few more to add. Click on the first blank line, and then once again to add a new role. Then go to the Composite Role tab, and this time do a search on SAP_UI2 star. We're going to select the SAP_UI2_admin, which is a composite role that will allow us to create things like catalogs and groups in the SAP S/4HANA Launchpad later, which we'll look at later on in the series. Note that after we add that composite role, we have a bunch of UI admin roles added. We need to add one more custom role, and please note that this particular role, and other roles for that matter, may have a different name from version to version of the SAP S/4HANA trial. Again, we're using a 1610 version for this particular video. We want to add a role that adds the local development objects on the 1610 system to our Launchpad, and that role will start with Z_R star. In the case of our version, we want to add the Z_RDS_role, and afterwards we can see that this role gives us access to a local development catalog and group. Our new user can now be saved. Now that we've created a new SAP S/4HANA user for this workshop, our next step is to create a new ABAP development project for our new user. One easy way to create a new project is to right-click on the existing BPinst users project and choose Duplicate. Then choose Next and fill in the details for our new user. However, we're going to do this manually just to see the manual steps involved, should you wish to apply this process on an additional machine where you don't have the option to duplicate an existing project. Right-click in the white space in the Project Explorer and choose New, ABAP Project, and then click on New System Connection to define the connection manually. If you're using the SAP S/4HANA trial, the system name is available back in the Cloud Appliance Library by opening up your CAL instance and clicking on Connect. The SAP S/4HANA ABAP system instance number is also there. The S4 application server name we can get from our window host file, which is located in C/windows/system32/drivers/etc. folder, and is the entry with the name containing S4H. We're not going to activate secure network communication for our trial system. And when we press Finish or Next, we'll be prompted to enter our new password. And after that, we now have a new ABAP project created for our new development user. The final task in this video is to create the sample SAP S4HANA data that we'll use for this project. This will be on the S-Flight database, which will be familiar for many who have used earlier versions of SAP. The S-Flight data will be the internal SAP S4HANA data that we'll later combine with our external data. In order to create the sample data on the image, we need to go back to our embedded SAP GUI in Eclipse and then run transaction SE38 to open the ABAP editor. In SE38, we'll want to run the SAP BC_data_generator program, which will first delete any data in the S-Flight database, if applicable, and then generate new data. We'll just use the default standard data record option, and this application will complete in a couple of minutes. We've now completed our project user tasks, which included creating a new development user for our SAP S4HANA system, assigning the rights necessary for our Extending with External Data project, and then generating sample data in our SAP S4HANA system.